got this thing from the so this inspection, because our office, as most of you must be aware, it is a monitoring body for the implementation of the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act, the various provisions that are under the Act in the states, so it is there in all the states. So it is our responsibility to work with the government, to push the government where necessary, the government authorities, the other agencies, even the private sector, for the implementation of the various provisions. And accessibility, of course, is one of the most important provisions that are there. Accessibility of the physical environment, accessibility of communications, information, then accessibility of the transport system. All these things are, all these various aspects of accessibility. These are the most, some of the most important provisions, because we can talk about the rights of persons with disabilities, we can talk about inclusive education, we can talk about political participation, since we are here in the Assembly Complex today, political participation of persons with disabilities, then equal opportunities in employment and other income generating activities, which historically the persons with disabilities, the disabled community, they are always left behind, they are not counted in so many areas of life. So this is what we are talking about, the rights of persons with disabilities. But even though we may keep on talking about these various rights of persons with disabilities, the first thing is accessibility. If there is no access, into the physical building, for example, today we are going to just take a quick look at the various accessibility facilities in the Assembly Complex, So if we talk about, for example, inclusive education, the education of our children with disabilities, but if the classrooms are not accessible, if there is no accessible toilet where they can use, which they can use, then there is no point talking about inclusive education, because they cannot get into the school building as such. So accessibility becomes one of the most, in order to make sure that the rights of persons with disabilities are not being violated, that they, all these things are being implemented properly. We have to ensure that access is there into all these kinds of facilities. So what we are doing is, here we are trying to work with the various government departments, the various government agencies first of all, and even as I said earlier, even the private sector, to make sure that all these provisions of the Act, of the RPWD Act are being implemented properly. And of course I just want to mention also that the state government has been very cooperative. They have been working with us, but our state, because of the neglect in the past, of the disability sector, in the past there was so much neglect that, we have a lot of work to do still, a long way to go in various areas of, life. And in the government sector also, we have a long way to go. And of course, the Assembly Secretariat, they have already taken some steps. I am also aware of that. I was here, last time when they inaugurated the ramp, the lift, and things like that. So those are very, we do appreciate all that, all, whatever steps are being taken by the authorities, we appreciate all that. But even at that time, I was saying, yeah, one portion of the complex is, partially accessible now, but we would like to see the entire complex, because this is such a high profile, a very important, public space, and we would want our disabled community also to be participating in all the activities that are going on here, when there are sessions going on. We would want them to also get exposure in how it works, because right now, though, if there is no accessibility, they will not be able to attend only any of these things. So we would like to see the assembly hall and all the other facilities in and around the complex as accessible as possible. So that is our intention, to just have a joint inspection to see how it is, where we can improve, that and work together to see that accessibility is, that good accessibility is here in this complex as well. So that is the purpose of our excess audit inspection. So down here there is no this thing, na?
At the moment,
Accessibility ramps down here.
no. So at the moment, we don't have. No way.
So locomotor, it may be, or other disabilities also. It may be a blind person, it may be a deaf person. You know, they have the ability to become leaders of the society, and we are looking for that. We are pushing for that, even with the central government. So one day, suppose a person with disability, for someone like me, for example, becomes a representative. So how do they come and sit in their places? Those become very essential. So that is what we are looking for. Even at the center, the parliament, we have been this thing. The new parliament also, there were a lot of issues. So a lot of Supreme Court orders are also there, and a lot of work is going on even there, because it's not about whether we have a disabled representative or not at the moment. The thing is, all facilities should be accessible from the beginning, so that anyone who comes, any citizen, will be able to participate, will be able to be part of that, whatever it may be. Here in the assembly, we are talking about our representatives. So any person with disability who comes will be able to join, if someone becomes an MLA with a disability, easily come and be part of it, or one day, suppose something like that happens, we have to start making all the changes again, so that is or if a disabled person becomes a speaker, for example, where is he or she going to sit and, conduct the proceedings of the house? That also becomes a problem. So this area also needs to be accessible, for that matter, not only the other areas. So these are for the, you said, HODs and the departmental officers. Then what about the galleries? The visitors' galleries?
Gallery side, yeah. No, there's no accessibilities like.
So all these are the galleries?
Yes.
The media areas?
Media's this, some this area.
Up,
Yeah.
The media gallery also will be up, isn't it? Then the visitors also, isn't it?
Yes.
So that means there is no access upstairs, no access at all.
For the public.
Nothing, so that is a problem. That is what I'm saying. Do we have? Is there any accessible toilets in the complex? Nothing, as of now. So that is also one area where it, I mean, in the entire, it's a huge complex. A lot of staff is there. So and visitors will keep on coming in and out, whatever it is. So accessible toilet, the lack of accessible toilets is also a big problem. If there is no accessible toilet, then in the Assembly Secretariat, the permanent staff that is here in the complex, do you all have any employee with disability?
No.
See, that is also a problem, because in our state, it's not only your department, but in various government departments, different department agencies, because from 1995, the lawyers here will be very much aware. From 1995 itself, there has been reservation for persons with disabilities in government jobs. So sometimes earlier it was 3%, that at one point it was 5%, then again it went down to 3%. Then now the one that with the new Disability Act, it's 4%. Why this reservation of government jobs has been given is because disabled people on the grounds of disability has historically been, discriminated even in employment opportunities, in government employment as well. They are often left behind. Then there are these negative attitudes and, negative mindsets are there about persons with disabilities. Oh, he is a person with disability. Oh, she's disabled. They can't do this. That kind of feeling is there. That's why so many times, even if they are very capable, even if they are more capable than non-disabled person, they are not given the chance in employment. So these reservation of jobs for persons with disabilities have been laid down in the act to ensure that persons with disabilities are also able to come up on par with other citizens as equal citizens. So in our state, as I was starting to say earlier, in our state, this provision under the Act since 1995, it has not been properly implemented at all. So in all the departments, we find that there is a lot of backlog if we are to go back all these past years. So, and then there is also now a lot of notifications and office memorandums, and even under various high courts also with regard to, carrying out special drives for recruitment of persons with disabilities in various departments. So I would, that of course is not a physical part of, the inspection that we are doing today, but I just wanted to inquire about that. I think the officials, I would want to ask the staff of the Secretariat also to discuss this, how, a special drive can be done also, because we really need to, in all the departments, we need to carry out this special drives to ensure that persons with disabilities are part of the, workforce in each department. So that is one thing that I would like to request you also today, so that you all can discuss among yourselves. Citing and whether it's in the galleries, isn't it? And anything else? So once accessibility is done, so these needed, not those time, but first accessibility has to be there, then all these sitting areas need to be discussed as well. So that is something to be considered. So you were saying that the I don't know, the assistants, they carry this, they help. So has there been any any representatives coming with temporary disabilities
At the
also?
moment, our Honorable Sir, Sri Santam.
Okay.
So like
Kipili Santam. So what he has, what locomotor means, movement, mobility, difficulty.
Yeah.
So he uses crutches or walking sticks.
Walking stick.
Okay. So that's and then see, it's not only about disabled people, even senior citizens. It is very difficult. So that's why we keep on. That's why we keep on stressing that we talk about accessibilities, railings, handrails on steps. For example, that is also an accessibility feature. When you have just steps going up like this without railings, then it's difficult. And that is not only for disabled people. That is also for senior citizens, then other people, and then all of y'all, we may come across, times when we have this temporary disabilities, if you fall down, break a leg, then you cannot walk, but you have to do your work. How do you do? I've come a lot of people, employees of the government also, who are undergoing, such kind of difficult times, at times medical problems and all, and then they can do the work, but they can't attend their offices because of the inaccessible environment. So it's not only about disabled people that we are talking about. Accessibility, it helps everybody. It's not only disabled people. So that is one thing that is good to keep in mind. Because people, when we talk about accessible people, immediately think about disabled people only. But it's not only for disabled people. It's for the benefit of the entire. You make it accessible, it doesn't give any problems to non-disabled people. But when you make it non-accessible, then one entire section of society is left out. But when you make it accessible, then non-disabled people as well as disabled people, they are all benefited. So that is the advantage of having, making all our facilities accessible. Okay.
in this area.
Okay.
But due to this technical fix program, like we couldn't implement it. Otherwise, like in the meeting they have discussed like to keep in this area in the upper side so that will be accessibility will be there.
Yeah, so
Slowly.
that it should be made accessible. This, and actually not only the upper, in many of the halls that we go to also, the thing is they make it in such a way the planning is not done properly at the time of construction. Then they make it like that, and then in the end, accessibility is needed. They'll do something, and then one portion here. So every time we go somewhere, we are sitting at the back somewhere. We cannot even join everybody. You know what I mean? That is discrimination. So that's why we keep on saying actually all these are such important public spaces. It should have been planned accessible. The accessibility should have been there from the time when the drawings were made, the planning was made. And then many times when we go for this inspection, so many the officials or the authorities of various departments, they tell us, oh, this was built before 2016, because our new act is from 2016. So they keep on saying, but this accessibility provisions have been there since 1995. Actually, the 2016 act is just updating the old acts, with some new additions and changing some things, but accessibility provisions are the same. So it has been there since 1995, so that is not an excuse. Now, all these things should have been properly planned accordingly, So the sad thing is that none of those, was not properly planned at all. Accessibility was not in, a consideration at all. So now we are facing this problem actually because of that only. So yeah, so as I was saying, so this, even if it is done, then the sitting area also becomes a problem. That should also be this thing, something that can be removed, not fixed, where we can go in with our wheelchairs for wheelchair users. Then even for, as you were saying, someone who uses a crutch, these are so heavy and so fixed that how do you move inside? The chair has to be moved a little bit. You go in, stand comfortably. The assistant pushes the chair in. It should be like that, So when it's fixed and when it's so heavy, then it becomes very difficult for people, using different kinds of assistive devices to be able to move comfortably in and out. Then even senior citizens, as I said, some of our representatives may be, of that age where, it's difficult, the mobility is reduced, so they need at least a good space to move in and out of their chairs. And also all those are considerations that, that should be, these are all things that should be considered. Okay. These, but here also actually there should be railings.
We came across some toilets, so since we are crossing the toilet, we go to discuss.
So these are the toilets, toilet blocks.
This one is gents, ladies reception.
Yeah, well, it's okay if I go in.
Okay.
See, actually the space is good, but the thing is, there is no accessible toilet at all. So you have good enough space, because it's coming in here. One toilet should be, you have the urinals, fine, but then one toilet. Now, whether it's actually for accessible toilet, it's always unisex. We don't have, in most places, it's not ladies and gents kind of toilets. It's usually unisex because people need assistance. Many people with disabilities, they need assistance. So if it is a man who needs the toilet also, they may have a women,
you know, the wife or the sister or a woman assistant who needs to assist them. So it is usually unisex only. But then here you have good distinct space. So once you come in, you can convert one of these toilets into an accessible toilet that is kept, that is kept reserved for disabled people only. But it needs to be, the space needs to be good. Because we need, once we go in with our, wheelchairs or other devices, we have to go in, we have to turn, we have to transfer from our chair to the toilet seat. All those things we have to consider.
Complex, so that's what we have told them. Because there is, in every wing and every floor, there are toilet blocks, gents and ladies and whatnot, they do it. But there is not even a single accessible toilet in the entire civil secretariat complex. So what we have told them is also that they need to make it one in each floor, at least one accessible toilet has to be there for staff as well as for visitors who come, to visit the various offices. So it has to be there. So here also our recommendation would be that since, as I said, we usually don't have gents and ladies for accessible toilets. It's always one unisex toilet, so whatever is possible, since a lot of work is going on already, so if that one room in each toilet block can be converted into an accessible toilet, I think that would be one of our recommendations.
Do you have reserved parking slots for parking space for disability parking spot? One day some disabled big shots, they come also, for example, forget people like us who are coming to participate and see what's happening, but suppose some people from outside the state also, they come to be part of the proceedings to see if there is. It's always good to have, of course, here in the assembly, I'm not saying that it's going to be a big rush where we don't get this thing, because it's kind of a space that is not part of all the public coming in, but then still it will be good if one or two slots, parking space can be kept aside for disability parking here, as well as in the staff side, the administrative building side. If that can be done, it will be good. See, the assembly is the complex. This assembly is such a high-profile space, public place, public building. And if we can make it as accessible as possible, if we can have all the facilities that are there with, and it's not about whether, we don't have access, disabled people coming to our office, or we don't have disabled members who will be participating. It's not about that, it's about making the entire environment as accessible as possible, so anyone who comes at any time will be able to, access. So if the assembly complex can become an example, to everyone also, with all the facilities in place, we can always make it as an example. Go to the NLA and see how they are doing it. Now that is the way to keep a public space accessible. We can say that also to people to come and see, how things are done. So the NLA can become a good example also about providing, making public space as accessible. So I hope that we can always we can work together, and any consultations that you need with regard to the various specifications that are there, the harmonized guidelines. There is one set of guidelines that are there called the harmonized guidelines, which has been published by the Ministry of Urban Affairs. So there, all the specifications are there. Your engineers also will be aware, because we have already worked with them on various other, even in the Civil Secretariat, I think the engineering wing, it comes under the same distinct group, isn't it? So they are already aware. So all the specifications are there, the gradients of ramps. Over here it's a little okay. In Kohima, it's always a little difficult to do, because we have very little area. We are a hilly place, so it's unlike the plain areas. Of course, it's difficult. So we also say that use your common sense, to see, even if it is not exactly as per specifications, but don't make it unsafe. When a ramp becomes like this, then we cannot use it safely. You know, people like us who need it. So those kind of things. So a set of guidelines are there. If you can make sure that your engineers are, going through that guidelines and doing the work as per the specifications that have been laid out, that will be good. And anything that you would like to discuss at any time, we are always available. My office is also always available.
Okay, that's good. It's so nostalgic also, na? That's my dad. So,
What has been, what has been found in the Kohima?
It is still very poor. Though there is progress, I must say, there is a lot of progress also in this past few years. We are making good progress. People are also, awareness is also improving in a lot of ways, so there is also, there is progress. The government also has been proactive, has been, working with us as far as possible, to take the necessary action. So there is progress, but still, because of all the neglect in the past, it's like I keep on saying this again, that it's like we are starting from zero level in every aspect, of this in the disability sector. So it's we still have a lot of work to be done. Still very poor in all our public spaces. Even if they construct a ramp, a small ramp is somewhere, fine, I can enter a building. Finally, I get into the building. But how do I move around the building? Nobody thinks about that. How do I move, from room to room to do the work that I need to do, to meet the people that I need to meet. Or as I already mentioned, accessible toilets. There are toilets which we can use. It's not there. So how can this thing, that means it's not complete at all. So then again, in most buildings you will see, even in the new buildings, the doorways are so small that you can barely negotiate your way into, into the various rooms and various parts of the buildings, even if you are able to enter a building, and there is no seamless accessibility. Seamless is where you can independently move around, You will always find, even if you are able to enter a building, for example, you can barely move, you go there, there's a small step or a small elevation again, something is there blocking something, you need help, for someone to pull you up, push you up, so that seamless accessibility, people are still very unaware of this. They think that just building a ramp is, we're done, we are accessible, that's the kind of thinking that people have, but just building a ramp, constructing a ramp, or installing a lift is not enough. You have to think about all the various aspects of accessibility in and around a particular area. How accessible is it? How are people with disabilities able to move around? Then the signages also, the kind of, in a complex like this, for example, of course they have, here they have the signages where they are indicating this is block B, block A, whatever, those kind of things. But in most of our public places, we don't have those also. So blind people, they are supposed to have all these in braille, where they can be able to touch and see, where they have to go. In big buildings, for example, complexes, it can be very confusing, for people to move around, to find the places where they need to find, So those kind of things, then people who are deaf, the clear signages showing them you have to go here, this is there, go this way, that kind of thing should be there. These are still people are, our people in general are still very unaware, and our government officials, our government departments are also still very unaware. As I said, earlier there was the awareness among our government officials, the state government also was very poor. But this awareness also has improved a lot, even in the government sector now. So now they are realizing that all these are the importance, of implementing all these accessibility provisions. They are starting to realize. Of course, I have to stress again that we still have a long way, to reach that kind of level where, yes, it becomes, a culture. Accessibility becomes a culture. It is just there where we don't have to keep on talking about why we need this, why we need that. It is just part of our life, Access is a culture, that among us. We have not reached that at all, and then we have a long way to reach that. But the awareness of the need of these things, the importance of these facilities, it has improved a lot. And so most government departments, most government officials are also aware. And on top of that, there are a lot of cases also that are coming up these days in the Supreme Court as well as the High Courts, all over the country, and including our state, our state government and various other authorities. They are being implicated in many of these cases. So now they are well aware that if they do not implement all these various provisions of the Act, properly and in the right way, then there's going to be trouble. The state government will have to face various actions. So that awareness is also there. So as I said, now the awareness is improving. They also know the importance, and we will continue doing our work. That is our work. We want to make sure that awareness becomes better among everybody, the general public, in our society, so that we don't have to keep on pushing and pressing all these kind of things, and it just becomes part of life, way of life, a way of life. But one thing is, in the assembly hall, as you all have seen together with me, the area, the sitting area inside the hall where the representatives sit and do the proceedings of the assembly, whatever needs to be done. All those areas are completely inaccessible. So that is one very, I think, important observation where they need to take action in that. And then, of course, the accessible toilets, which I have been stressing again, in this huge complex, there is not even a single accessible toilet. So we are talking about staff members who may need such kind of toilets. We are talking about visitors who come to visit them for any work, who may, who will require accessible toilets. Then we have members. We want, we are looking forward to political participation of disabled people is so important. We are pushing for that, and very soon we hope to see members of our assembly also, disabled people becoming members of our assembly, representing our people, in various representing our people. So all those are for everyone, for all, we need accessible toilets, and in such a huge complex that there is not even a single accessible toilet, it's a shame, it's disgraceful. So that is one thing that I have already recommended as we walked around. But those are things that we will be, of course, officially, giving an order and directive and recommending to the Assembly Secretariat to take action on.